And I believe we have some help with the salute to the flag this evening, Mr. Gilbert.
We have our news program, and we have a special ending to the news program that we will watch. The flag salute will take part during that, and then the student council will do their thing at the appropriate time during the meeting as well. So
okay. So we should get out of the way, right? We got the news behind us here.
We should get out of the way if you're ready to call the order here.
Yep. Yeah, the meeting's been called to order already.
Connection with the budget process, one from a group of special education teachers in support of their colleagues, and another from a parent about supporting the school budget and directing resources toward services for students.
Okay, public comment. Has anybody signed up for public comment? No. Okay. Consent agenda. Does anybody have anything to take out of the consent agenda? And Lisa, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about the policies that's in here. Is to do it? Yeah, I think so. No?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Yes. The consent agenda includes a revised draft of policy 6142.101, which is the wellness policy, for 30-day review. And those changes fall under two categories. One is some changes required by recent legislation, and the other is reflecting some of the work of the cafeteria task force over the last couple of years. So if anybody has any further comments on it over the course of
till the next meeting. Right, till the new meeting. Okay. All right, great. So we need a motion.
Move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Okay. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. All right. PTO update.
Okay, a few things. And I'm glad Marge is here. Marge is just here to be with her daughter, but a lot of what I'm about to say has to do with Marge, but she said I could say it on her behalf. But Marge does so much for the PTO behind the scenes, and she has one more year with us, and it's going to be really hard to do it without Marge. But the good news is she's very good at finding replacements. So the book swap is happening this week, and she's already found 2 parents to shadow her this year, and they'll be taking over the book swap next year. Sorry, well, yeah, next year. So I was just down there today helping out. There are so many books. It's a great turnout for books. Wednesday and Thursday, is that tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow and Thursday is the actual book swap from 8:30 to 3 o'clock. And whatever is not given away to students will be given to the Woodbridge Library, is that correct?
For the sale, and then ultimately some of it will go to New Haven Reads.
Yes, New Haven Reads, who just had a horrible sewage leak and a lot of their inventory was lost. It's sad story. Arts Week, as you already heard about in BRS News, is next week, May 22nd to the 26th. Arts Night is Thursday night, the 25th, from 6:30 to 8:30. As you probably all know already, the school is open for families to come and visit and celebrate the arts with hands-on activities. Music will be provided, and there's food also. And so there's a sign-up that parents can sign up to donate food for that event. Quasi is on for Thursday, June 1st. Reservations are coming in. We're still trying to make it clear to people that they are not allowed to drop off their child at the event. They really would like to drop off their child at the event. So if they come to the park thinking they're going to drop off, they will just be told to buy a ticket at the park, which is fine. They can buy it that night if needed.
I have a quick question. Can you send them to someone else's beer? I can ask you that.
That's a really good question. I can get an answer. Okay. I mean, I feel like that would be a parent decision. As long as they're with a responsible adult, and that adult doesn't matter, that would be my guess. Oh, and then the only other thing is, and this is big Marge news, the book fair. Marge works so hard on this book fair every year, and I didn't even know this was a possibility, but if the school sells a certain amount every year and they're consistent in doing that, they get elevated, upgraded to this special signature level, which only a few schools in Connecticut have even gotten to this level. And Marge just found out Beecher Road has gotten that. She says she's been chasing this level for years.
Yay, that's
And what it means is apparently a better selection of books as far as the actual quality of the books, the quantity of books. Hopefully it'll be easier for Marge if she has to reorder. More titles, more classics, things like that. So we're really excited about that, and that's all thanks to Marge and hard work. Yes, you're allowed to take credit for it. So that's it for today.
all right. Thank you. Okay.
Well, you're up. Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening to all of our students and our parents and guests, staff members, PTO members. I'm not so sure this is working. I don't see the light going on or off. I don't know.
Are you okay?
Can you hear this? Or?
I can.
Okay. Good. So welcome to all of you, as well as those who are going to be watching via the TV. So first of all, I'd just like to say that we're very, very happy that last night the budget process in the town moved forward, and we have a budget for both the town as well as we have a budget for Beecher Road School for next year, so that is really great news. And so it's been a long process, and it's certainly a challenging one, but we really appreciate everybody's support and the voices of town parents and everybody in that. So thank you for your involvement, to all of you. Also like to say that the PTO has, in my conversations with Jess, the chair, our president of PTO, the PTO has been very gracious to acknowledge that they're going to be looking to, as their end of the year, I'll call it gift, but at the end of the year, donation to the school, as they have typically done, they're going to be helping us in some of the areas that we had to cut back in our operating budget. Not something that we want to count on, and not something that we want to make a practice of, but certainly they understand the nature of what happened this year, and we really appreciate your efforts. So thank you, Amy and Marge, as members and leaders of the PTO. I will say that both Amy and Marge have many, many hats they wear besides PTO. Amy's on our Vision and Mission Committee, and Marge also is on our Cafeteria Task Force, which has recently become part of the, part of wellness. So anyway, so they do a lot of things. So thank you to both of you, to all of your colleagues at the PTO. I'll just have a few announcements here tonight. We'd like to say that I had the great opportunity on April 29th to be part of the opening day for the baseball season here in Woodbridge. I didn't realize it's such a big deal. Wow. And so I was honored to be there to say a few words along with many other people, and it was great to see the great community spirit that's part of the town in that particular context. So I'm sure many of you have been there before for that. It was great to see the 45th anniversary celebrated. Our Cafeteria Task Force has merged with our Wellness Committee, and we had our first meeting together on May 3rd, and the wellness policy that we spoke about a little while ago was one of the products of that meeting in terms of what we worked on together. So thank you to those who have served on the Cafeteria Task Force, and they're going to be part of the Wellness Committee as time goes forward. Congratulations to Megan Genovese, Paul Testa, and John Volte. Megan and John, I know, are in the audience tonight. And congratulations on the recent election to the Board of Ed. Congratulations also to Steve and Nancy on their re-election. And as part of my orientation for new board members, I'll be meeting, and I have actually met with a few already. I'm meeting individually with each new board member to get to know them and help them transition into this new important responsibility that they have taken on. Our board summer retreat is going to be taking place on Monday, July 24th at 3:30. And we'll be having Bob Rader, Executive Director of CABE, coming to facilitate part, if not all, of our retreat. So please make sure you're holding that day, starting at 3:30, for a very important opportunity for us as a board to get together and to move forward for the next year. Summer balance testing the main testing has concluded. We had 2 very successful weeks of testing. I'd like to thank Annalisa Sherman, our assistant principal, who coordinates that, and it was very smooth and successful, and there's a few makeups left, I'm sure, along the way, but the bulk of the work is done.
Just, can I ask, do we know anything about our participation rates in that, or is that something we don't find out?
So we know our participation rate for last year, because we heard that at the accountability report. So for this year, we would not know that at all for quite a while. we could probably make some guesses based upon what we know, but in anything official-wise, the state has to tell us that. So. We had a memorable and important week last week, Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to let Gina talk about that in a little bit. So surely you'll hear about that. Also last week we had a very important meeting that took place, the one that we've been waiting for a while, and that was our building committee meeting. The building committee was called back together again, and last Thursday, and all of the important members of that group, including the contractors, were there. A quorum was present, and we were able to close out the project with their vote, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the evening. Tonight you'll be voting to accept the project as completed to Board of Education. Health insurance information, where we've gotten our marching orders for next year, and we'll be talking more about that as time goes on. And so that's something we've been waiting for, and so we'll be moving forward on that. We'll be talking to our employee groups about that as well as we make some changes for next year. You'll be hearing about the strategic plan update tonight, so I will leave that to the administrative team for a few minutes from now to do that. I'd like to also mention that I had the great pleasure of being in attendance at the E-Day family dinner earlier in the week, and I was just floored by how many people were there, the great spirit of community that's also evident with the E-Day program. And I'd like to thank Mrs. Salinardi and Mr. Rourke for their leadership of the E-Day program. People can't say enough about that program. It's unique. It's a model. We've had people this year who have contacted us wanting to know about it. How do we start one in our town? So I know you know about it, but it just as still someone who is still looking at things and saying, wow, that is a wow as a program, and the dinner is a great culmination for the year. I attended the Board of Selectmen meeting this past week and provided my usual brief monthly report on our events at the school, as well as end of the year celebrations, and also provided some current budget information for them as well. I know we've heard about Arts Week already, and we're going to hear a little bit more about Arts Week from Gina in a few moments. I know it's an exciting week. I'm looking forward to next week for sure. Tonight, the Board of Ed will be asked to just hear a little bit about a memorial request from a few teachers in memory of a former teacher, so we'll be talking about that a little later tonight. And it's also not far around the corner. The last day of school and graduation is June 15th, so be ready for that. I think we're talking about 4 or so weeks away, so it's a lot to do. So that concludes my report for this evening.
Okay, is there any questions for Bob on any of that? Okay, then I think Ms. Prisco.
Good evening, everyone. You've heard a few of the things, but the first thing that I will mention is just a thank you to the extended Beecher Road School community for our appreciation for all of the kind words, gestures during what is called Teacher Appreciation Week. We took that as an opportunity to not only celebrate our teachers, but to say thank you to all members of the Beecher Road School staff, because it takes every single role here to contribute to the success that the children have. And so we say thank you not just to the teachers, but to all the members of Beecher Road School. And thank you to you all for celebrating us as well. You heard a little bit about Arts Week. So yes, we do have our concert on the Hill on May 23rd in the evening. There is a rain date on the 24th. We're not going to have any rain, so that's fine. Thursday evening, as you heard, is Family Arts Night, great event. And on Friday will be our school-wide enrichment. Winnipeg will be here in a little different, smaller groups throughout the day rather than 1 or 2 large gatherings. So we're looking forward to that. The book swap, you did hear about that. Sharing your favorite and treasured books with someone else and giving them up for someone else to love. It's one of my favorite events. Thank you, thank you. And again, kind of like the way I talk about the book fair, they're walking down, but they know that this is a book that someone else has read and someone else loved this book, and now they've got a chance to do that. So it's a great few days. I had an opportunity to attend a culminating event in Multi-Age Mag, the 4th year feast, and I know from watching the students, the planning, the collaboration, the disagreements about the theme, to finally agreeing, and then setting it all up, and then working very hard that day to serve the food, to to their guests, which are the remaining multi-age students, and a few guests, myself being one of them, and the adult teachers. The students work very, very hard. It is really a great tradition, and they are very proud of it when they are done. So I thank them and congratulate them on a successful day. There are multiple events coming up. You've heard about Arts Week, art concerts, graduation, their graduation, field day. Please, please pay close attention to information that is coming home, either electronically from your child's teacher in the backpack. There's lots of notices, first grade, second grade performances that are happening, so it does get busy. So please keep an eye out for any of that information and timing. And that's all I have for tonight.
Any questions? Thank you. Okay.
So our next agenda item is a student council update, and I would like to thank Teresa Nacuzzi and Liz Hagney for being here as student council advisors. I think you have two other advisors who share in the joy of this wonderful activity, and we want to appreciate, first of all, the two of you as advisors and your colleagues, because this is a volunteer effort on your part, and we appreciate the time that you've spent on the weekends with your students, also late in the afternoons or evenings when they have been selling food at the book fair and things like that, and other activities. So I want to thank our advisors tonight. I think just a round of applause. And I'll let Teresa and Liz introduce their students, and I know they have a short little presentation for us.
Thank you. So the student
I am Melissa Sapulu, and I am a fifth grader in the student council. I joined the student council because I had a goal that was to help others, whether it was helping the poor to helping a fellow classmate. The fall was an exciting time for the student council because we took part in the Halloween Hoot, where we had a craft that the kids could do. We also had the fall movie night and the cook-up event. We especially enjoyed greeting the young children as they first walked into Beecher. Wouldn't you feel happy if you had someone welcoming you at the door? Also, each weekly meeting was quite interesting. We brainstorm ideas every week. They actually used one of my ideas. The ice cream social is also very fun. Even if the student council does very little, it still pays off. We appreciate helping others in need, humans to animals, and the environment to the town. And here is Harley.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Harley Luciani, and I'm in 5th grade. I joined the student council because I love to help people, and I know our student council loves to do that. One of the ways we helped with our school was the fall movie night. We have raised so much money by selling snacks and water, but most of all, Beecher kids enjoyed watching the amazing movie with their friends. Another way our student council is a great organization is the Cup Stacking Challenge. Beecher earned a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records yet again. It was exciting and a fantastic way for everyone to participate in. You should have seen kids taking this very seriously as they ran from the table to the line. We also helped with the Kids Assembly, where I know our Beecher Road School song by heart. Would you like to hear it? The school, just kidding. But we should not forget the donation of money made for the Woodbridge Food and Field Bank. And the last way the student council helped the school and the community was the tasty treats and healthy snacks we offer to our students and teachers. The bake sale helps to raise money, and that helps the PTO. Thank you for letting me tell you a little bit about our student council tonight. Here's my friend, Ben.
Thanks, Harley.
I'm Ben Aviad. I'd like to thank you all for your time so far, but you still have to stay awake through my speech. I joined the student council because I wanted to make a change and difference throughout the school. The student council would help me do just that. The student council was something I needed to be a part of because when I was in MAG, I realized how helping your community can help others, myself, and possibly make the world a better place. These things made me realize that if I join the student council, I'll be able to help a bigger mass of people. I really enjoy all the great activities the student council hosts, such as the spring movie night, which was a bundle of fun. To be with your friends and watching a good movie is the best. When sharing the monthly fun fact on Spirit Friday, I love learning about facts about our teachers and the history of our school. Another great activity was the multi-generational bingo game at the Woodbridge Senior Center. It was touching to see how happy the seniors were when we came and getting to know the seniors of Woodbridge a little bit better. This helps me focus and learn to respect my teachers, my classmates, and myself. One of my favorite student council activities I personally loved was the K-9 first responders, and we helped them out by giving them $500 from fundraising. The student council also helped another animal organization, and that's the Woodbridge Animal Shelter. They will be receiving a big check of, drumroll please, $700. That's incredible. I want to leave you with these thoughts about the student council because it really made me realize that helping your town community is a privilege that not everybody looks at the same way as the student council. And the student council helps me notice that respect to all is going to help you from the earliest of time and beyond. Thank you for listening to me and my fellow student council members' speeches. I hope you enjoyed our speeches. Good night to all, and back to you.
Thank you very much. So, and the student council, someday, you could be sitting here on the board. I don't know if you have any examples of your family or anything. Maybe. Okay. All right.
Any questions? Any questions from the board for the student council?
Yes. So, to the student council members, our question to you is, I don't know if you're familiar with our environmental stewards program that we had for the last few years, but we'd like the student council to think about whether they can pick up some part of that and make it happen again. Okay? All right. Thank you.
So I would say that it's a great way to build leadership in elementary school. This is one of the ways that we try to move leadership forward for students. It's also great to see the humor that our students have at the microphone. I love that. That's part of leadership as well. And this is just one example of really trying to move forward opportunities for us to have outreach to the community. Again, thank our advisors for doing that and find ways to have that happen. We have other groups in the school that are also doing some outreach to the seniors and other places, and so it's great to see that. So thanks again for coming tonight. Thank you to the parents for bringing them and for being part of our meeting. As we usually say, you are welcome to stay, but also you're welcome to leave, I guess, right?
You don't have to stay.
May I just add something? So part of student council is a little bit of team building and team bonding. And so one of the events that I got to attend last year and this year was the IT ropes course at Gordon's Furniture. And I have some lovely photos of our student council advisors hanging on for dear life up at the top while the student council members are breezing right on by them. But it's also great for the children to get together socially and be able to see their teachers in a different way, not just as their advisors in school. So it does help to kind of bridge that gap a little.
We got those pictures?
Maybe they have deleted. Or not.
That's great. Okay, so we're going to go to the strategic plan update at this time, and I'll invite some of my administrative colleagues to join me at the microphone, and we will lead you through some information. Sean, this is on. He wasn't on. He is on there? it's amazing how time flies. So it was, this is really all developed out of an entry plan that I brought to you as upon being hired. And the strategic development plan is something that was born out of many, many conversations with stakeholders in the building, outside the building, staff, teachers, parents, community members, some students, and so on and so forth. So as you remember, we presented this plan in January, and now we're in May, and it's time to give you an update as to what we've been able to accomplish in these first few months. I will just be quick to say that this is it's a very interesting, messy, exciting process. So there's a lot of things in motion. And there are a lot of things that haven't started to get in motion yet, but it's all exciting stuff, and things that people have embraced as things that we want to do and do better or do differently or start to initiate. Just as a reminder that all the work that we see and talk about tonight, these are things that are happening in addition to the busy work of the everyday running of the school or teaching classes and all the other things that go along with that. So just keep that in mind as we go along as well. Also, I would just say that a lot of things that are behind this plan involve a lot of professional learning, professional development, if you will, opportunities for people to further their understanding of different ways of doing things. So that's a big component as we move along. So as we move through this, you're going to see some timelines that we set, and some of them we've met, some of them are in process, some of them are future to be had or to be happening. So just bear with that as this messy process continues forward. But you'll notice in these slides from January, and you'll see that at the very top, the mission and vision for our district is currently under review and revision. We've brought together stakeholders from the faculty, from Board of Ed, and I'm really appreciative of the input that you folks had at one of our recent meetings. As you might remember, we asked you what are those important words, and we've used a lot of those words in our work, in our drafts, as we're working together to put a vision and mission together that is something that we can remember, that we can believe and own, and that we can actually recall when we see each other. What is the school all about? That's what we're working towards. So great work that's going on right now by a committee of stakeholders. We have some parents on that group. As I went to the PTO and asked the PTO to send me some parents. Amy happens to be one of those parents on the vision and mission, as well as Lauren Esposito. And so we're just thrilled about how that's moving forward. And you'll be hearing more about that in the future. Those are the beliefs that we had set out at the beginning of the year. And of course, these are the 5 main overriding goals for continuous improvement in this plan, which really go from strong academic standards and expectations to number 2 with the student-centered personalized learning. 3, professional learning for everyone. 4 is the partnerships, community, and multi-dimensional aspects of diversity. And then the 5th one, maximizing our efficiencies. So again, those are the 5 goals that are driving each of the different priorities and the things that we've started to do. And I'm going to go through some of the slides, and then I'll be turning the microphone over to some of my colleagues who will be talking a little bit about areas that they are steering from their responsibilities. But this first goal, again, was all about developing or re-engaging with our vision and mission. It's also about a structure and a strategy for curriculum review and revision. The targets for each of these slides are along the bottom. As you can see, our goal was to finalize the vision and mission, which is in process, and it's moving along really well. We're going to get there by the end of this year into September, developing a curriculum revision plan as well as curriculum revision teams, which are in process. And to give you some specific detail, our vision and mission, we have assembled a stakeholder committee across the different stakeholder groups. We've started work on our review and revision. We're looking to finalize drafts for review and reflection by stakeholders. I'll be sending that back to you folks for your thoughts and for your reflections, as well as to parents in the final weeks of the school year, as well as to the faculty and staff. We'll look for your endorsement of this, and as well as then we'll bring a finalized vision and mission into September. So the vision and mission is moving forward very well, and I'm very proud of the group. The group is very excited about the work that we're doing. I'm going to continue to move through these slides, and then a lot of them kind of have some ties together, so we're certainly looking for your questions or your curiosities at the end of this presentation. Curriculum development, we've accomplished the following things. We've developed and established curriculum teams for this summer as well as into the next school year, specifically in 2 areas right now. In math, where work has started, but we're really going to move that forward and accelerate that, as well as in the science area. So you can see that in math, we're going to be targeting grades 1, 2, 3, and 5. In math, our model there is to bring all the teachers in the grade level together for that training and for that curriculum development, because there's the richness in how that then spills over into the classroom and through their teaching. We did complete grade 4 this year during the course of the year, and grade 6 had some parts completed, some initial work a few years ago. So really by the end of next year, we're really hoping to have the bulk of math done and a few things to tie up with grade 6 and kindergarten as well. Science, we've targeted grades 3, 4, and 6 for this summer to begin work. Our structure for that is not the entire team, but for some teacher representatives to join our science coordinator. So those things are in motion, both math and science, for this summer and into next year. We have some next steps that we're looking at how we should go about this. We have, obviously, do the summer curriculum work is going to happen as the next step, but also we're looking at how do we move forward in social studies, and how do we start that initial work in addition to what we're already doing in math and science, and what do we take a look at in terms of a process for unified arts and language arts. Our second goal is all around the whole idea of student-centered and personalized learning as a concept and a big picture, and the priorities are around school-wide enrichment model, around project-based learning, and around the capstone concept for 6th grade. In our targets were to do visits, have professional learning, and to look at different areas that we haven't delved into before. So we're in process in most of those, and there's some future aspects in terms of curriculum compacting. I'm going to turn this over right now to Gina, who will just talk a little bit about our project-based learning and where we are. Actually, I guess I can hold my breath.
So you can see some of our accomplishments. So our entry point was 5th grade, and we chose that due to the fact they had already started to come together as a grade and begin to talk about these ideas themselves. So there was some professional learning that we attended as an entire grade level. We were accompanied by our science coordinator, Karen Stebinger, Mary Sell from Language Arts, and Maureen Karlick, as well as myself and Mr. Gilbert had attended that. We also purchased a book for us to do some professional reading around, and visited, as you can see, an in-house program. That was our multi-age. So some members of our 5th grade team went down and spent a little time looking at some of the work around multi-age and project-based learning. We also spent some of our professional development time on March 17th doing some planning, again with those other members of the Beach Road School staff, not just the 5th grade team. So myself, math, science, language arts. Because when we're thinking about this, how are we incorporating all of these pieces and in a project so it's not as segmented? That communication is going to continue to be important as we think about the next steps. This Friday there is a webinar that we will be watching, I should say. It is also, that webinar is by the same person who is the author of the book. So that we are getting, that's the direction we want to go. This is the way we believe that we would like to move forward. And we are granting some time for this 5th grade team, just the 5th grade team themselves, to begin planning some of this work. We've already talked about an idea for next year. They've got some initial plans in place. Also, and how do we reach out beyond the classroom? Community members that we can use, in-house staff that are not 5th grade teachers that we can use to help bring us from a bigger picture to see what we want to do. And the implementation plan, that's what we're looking at for this summer. So we fully intend to have a 5th grade project, and I happen to have a 5th grade teacher here, but I won't put her on the spot. But we fully intend to have a project around the census for our 5th grade students next year. That will take a part of a chunk of the year.
Thanks, Gina. School enrichment is the next area, and Kennedy will talk a little bit about where we are
have done to date is we pulled a team together, and it was made up of classroom teachers, specialists, and members of the TAG committee. So we had a good smattering of people. And our first thing we did was we visited Granby, and we spent the day at their 3-5 school. It was 3-5 school, not 3-6 school. And we were able to not only meet with the teams and the specialists, but observe their enrichment clusters, which is something they do on a regular basis. I think it's every so many weeks, scheduled in for everyone in the school to participate. And they also shared with us some of their curriculum compacting that they've been doing in math. One example they shared with us was for students, I believe, that were working on Roman numerals. There was the enrichment component of doing investigation and research on ancient number systems. So kids had done some amazing, amazing things that they shared with us. And they also talked to us about, first of all, how they identify students that have that are either gifted, how they test or pre-assess kids so that they can see if they have mastered the skills in that unit, and then how they go about with enrichment. So they gave us a little bit of everything, which gave us a lot of food for thought when we came back and met and have been talking about what our next steps would be. One thing that we did do, the third grade team did a pilot of clusters during one of their enrichment blocks this spring, and they really enjoyed it, and the teachers got a feel for it and have voiced that it's something they're interested in continuing. The other thing that we're looking at is after we went to Granby and talked to them was how they go about identifying children for the gifted programs and some of the school-wide testing and models that are in place. So that's something we're going to be investigating over the next year or two of how we can enrich our own program. Some of our next steps are we're going to be visiting Renzulli Academy. I was able to reach out to some of my old colleagues in Hartford. Unfortunately, we couldn't coordinate it this spring because everybody was so busy. But we are going to go out next fall. They've invited us to not only come and observe, but spend some days there and time there if we'd like. And they also have said they'd come out and talk to us here. So I think that is one of our next steps, to look at their clusters and how they compact the curriculum. And again, it's in math that we're looking at this point. And we are looking at implementing clusters in 1 grade next year. And so we haven't quite decided which one, but third grade does seem interested. But we do need to do a lot of professional development to really define what we're talking about and identify the steps to implementing any of the changes that we want to put in place. And I think that's about it. Did I miss anything, Ron? Do you think
I have a question.
need to read my own question.
So the school-wide enrichment, we're talking about that for all students. This isn't an identifying
Right, there's two separate things, yes.
Okay.
And it's enrichment for all, but it's really starting with the clusters at a grade level to see how it flows. The way that's how they started in Granby. They started with 1 grade, and then they incorporated the 3 grades, and they all can go in and sign up for clusters. Then the mixed grade, mixed topic.
That all students in 3rd grade would be part of
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yep.
Thank you.
So goal 3 is around professional learning, and at the centerpiece of this goal is really the professional learning community model, which we have components of that here at Beecher Road School. There's been trainings at various times for various people, but over the years some people have had no training or different levels of training, and so we're trying to reestablish the professional learning community model as the structure and the basis for our teams working together to identify what we want students to know, to figure out how we're going to assess and know if they know it or not, and how do we help the struggling learners, and how do we help the students who are advancing beyond the curriculum. So that is going to be an important area for us to work on. You'll hear about that in a moment in terms of where we're moving forward. Obviously also professional learning, not just for teachers, but professional learning for everybody is really part of this goal. And as you can see, the charts on the bottom, the ones, the second and third, the professional learning plan, which we're moving forward to in the future, as well as professional learning, professional learning community training the team leaders, is already scheduled. Those things are in process. To the left there, selection and review of a data collection resource. To say, well, why is that in there, Bob? So what that's all about is, we have been using a few different ways of collecting data for students, and we're really trying to determine what is the right collection tool for us to use. Is it PowerSchool tools that are provided? There are some other tools out there. Alpine is another one that we're looking at. But the importance of that is being able to make informed decisions for students at the individual and team level, so you can move forward to help students. And so that's why it's there, because there's a real importance in the PLC model to have good data, and data you can collect that you can count on, and that is organized, and that you can use in a longitudinal way. So that's there. I think, Jeannie, they're going to be talking a little bit about professional learning here.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Quick. So what is, kind of, your evaluation of our current data collection system? Because I think we've looked at various ones, and we've tried to find something that's easy to use, but has all the information we want, and that lends itself to exactly what you're talking about.
Well, I'll just quickly say, and actually Gina's had a lot more experience in her last 4 or 5 years here, obviously, with that, but what I will say is that the tool that we have been using is becoming obsolete. In fact, we had to get the data off of the tool that we were using because they were exiting the tool.
They're shutting down the platform. They're not supporting it anymore.
So that's one.
It's like pretty new.
We just bought it like 3 years ago.
So it came on when I came on, so 5 years. And so...
Never really...
Now the answer to that, they certainly have a product to replace it. Okay, Power Analytics and an assessment. That's true, it's not. So, but the issue there is we're not exactly sure that the products we have seen so far are the ones we want. So we have all of our data, and we've exported it into Excel sheets that we can use at this point. So to assess what we have right now, I could assess it, but the point is if we can't even use it after July 1st, because it's going to become obsolete.
Okay. But we have been using it in the way that you've been talking about. So longitudinally, yes. So we've put information in, and over the 5 years, we've changed the information that we've wanted to look at. Right. And so I think we now have an integrated assessment matrix that we've tweaked, which has our math and language arts assessments on there that we consider our district assessments, that those are the ones that we collect data on. And so I'm going to say we've taken a step backwards in using our Excel or Google Sheets to keep information on, because this tool is going away. It was not as user-friendly as we had thought it was. That's informed. So, and using the Google documents are live, quick, real, but they are not longitudinal. So we are trying to work on a way right now to say, how can we sort this information so next year's teacher can easily find their students that they have last year.
Can we talk to the middle school and high school? Since
we have.
What we asked about before.
We've met.
Informed that we bought all the modules previously because we were asked that we needed all these modules. I remember we invested in the first line, and then we got asked to add on. We started with one module, and we ended up adding 3 more modules or something. I just remember the finance committee us adding more pieces over time. But it would be helpful for us to make sure that if we're going to get another system, that the data can be shared with the middle school and high school much easier, since our kids are going K through 12.
So what we have is what we've had, I think, since I've been here, and with Inform, we have met with the middle school and high school through to look at PowerSchool Analytics, which is something that the middle school is trying, one team, one student, a team, very slowly. And the high school is using a little bit more. They do grade a little differently than we do. And the sharing of information is not as easy as just sending, because we are not on the same systems. So we've talked about that with Renaissance Learning and STAR. They don't speak to each other because they're 2 completely different districts. But we can export data and send them data and information. PowerSchool Analytics themselves, we have had 2 or 3 conversations with them and a webinar, have asked us to hold, because they aren't fully baked yet. So they aren't quite ready to work in the elementary. It's what they've shared with us. They are supposed to be in January, have some products ready to roll out to show to us. In January, they weren't quite ready. So we're not ready to ask you all to make any kind of investment to something that isn't ready for us yet.
Can we look at, rather than us buying a system, most of these are based on a per-user basis. Is there any way for us to go to the high school and say, we'd like to add 100 users to your system, since all this stuff is web-based and we're all, I mean, rather than us investing in the whole infrastructure, why not just lease space on their system?
It's something we can explore. It's something we can explore. I don't know, because it will be middle and high school. It will be the 7-12 system, obviously. So it's not. So it's their system, and we can take a look at that. We've stopped. We were close to making some possible decisions until we realized that the program that we were looking at was making changes on their own, the new program, the analytics program. So we just wanted to wait. And people are being very cautious in other districts about this. There's very few districts, interestingly enough, in Connecticut that actually have used it and have any kind of track record with it, because it's new and not many signed on. Canton, Connecticut, we've contacted them and talked to them a little bit. Of course, Amity is exploring it a little bit and dabbling in it. So we can add that to our list of questions for sure.
So back to where I started. So when I came on board, we ended up working very hard to get a fully functioning professional development and evaluation committee. And I believe that we have a fantastic team right now. They're very giving of their time. We have put out needs assessments for teachers, and keeping in mind that the professional learning that we are looking at all remains under our district goals. So we put out, like I said, these needs assessments under the goals. We put out secondary ones asking for more information, and we've had opportunity to provide a lot of differentiated professional development to teachers, getting them what they need while still keeping focused on, the three main areas that we are looking at. Also, one of the other things that we've started to do is track out a full year. So 2 summers ago this started. The team volunteers, members of the committee, we sit in the summer, we're slightly less busy, and we kind of map out what are our requirements, because we do have some required and mandated professional development, bloodborne pathogen and all. So what are our requirements? Where can we block those in? And then what are the needs of folks, and what are the district requests? What are the things that we want to move forward on? So that's been very successful. We are, as you heard Bob mention, some of the ones on that last bullet, school-wide enrichment, SRBI. We've done the visits. We've started looking at some different things, like embedded professional development, tomorrow's webinar, project-based learning. We're trying to keep that going as much as possible. We have a limited amount of, days of professional development, and there's a lot of competing needs. So we do have to prioritize. So let's look at some of our next steps. PLCs, or professional learning communities, are definitely a very big priority for us. If that's how we would like to move forward, we have planned for our team leaders, whoever they are going to be for next year, to begin that training. Someone is in place for that. They will do that this year so they can help facilitate when we come back in August. But everybody benefits from professional development or professional learning, so we don't want to exclude folks that are not teachers. So these are our teacher assistants, even our office staff, or even our custodians. Everyone benefits from that. That has not been a role that the committee has totally taken on, but we are exploring some ways in which we can assist as a committee to help make sure that the other people that are part of Beecher get what they need. And one more next step. Yes, we've been mapping out for a year, but we need to look a little bit more long range, and this strategic plan will help us do that.
I have a question. Professional Development Committee, that's the one that we've had. That's the group that we talk about.
Not new.
What?
Not new.
Oh, okay.
So when we brought you teacher evaluation plans, so while there's been a few shifts in the folks that are on it, that's one committee. Professional Development Evaluation Committee.
PDEC.
PDEC. Okay, all right, there you go.
And do the teacher assistants have any representation in terms of planning for professional development activities for
So
them?
they had a needs assessment. They do not have a member on the committee currently because most of our planning has been around what teacher needs are. But yes, they've been met with and they've had a needs assessment on what they feel like they need to help them best in the classroom, aside from what is required.
Right. Thanks, Gina. Our fourth goal is around celebrating diversity, community, and multi-dimensional aspects of our school. So there's a lot of things that we're getting ready and queued to do in this area. We'll talk about community in a few moments, just about some of the other community things we've been doing. I will just say quickly that I'm going to be, through my next superintendent's parent update, as well as to all the staff, I'm going to be looking for representatives, parent representatives, board member representatives, teacher and staff representatives to join in on a new cultural diversity committee that will be helping to support this fourth goal. So we'll be looking to kind of get that moving either over the summer or into the fall as we try to maximize and look at how we just do more activities that support this area, which has been an area that has been of great interest and a very important one at that. So I'm going to turn this over to Claire again, just to talk a little bit about some general community things that have been going on as well.
Well, I know you've heard us talk this year about our CARES assemblies, and those have been really phenomenal. The student council and our clinical staff and our teaching staff have done a great job. We've had music playing, we've had the school song sung, and the first one was the whole school. We were really packed in the gym, and I don't know if the fire department would have liked to see that many people in there, but it was a lot of fun. But we decided to split it up. Split it up so that, and every time it's different mix of classes. Maybe kindergarten, third, fourth, fifth, just half of them, and then the other half come in, and they greet each other. There's Gina talks, Annalisa says some things, we all get up there and do something. There's an activity that they all participate in as a follow-up activity. So I think that we've gotten the feedback from the kids and the teachers that they've liked it. They've liked everybody getting together, and it's a lot of fun. We continued our kindness initiatives, and those have gone strongly. I can't even, begin to say everything the student council has done, and they were very explicit telling us some of the things that they've done this year, and they've been phenomenal. They also, some of the student council members, as well as some of the 5th and 6th graders, volunteered to help with Kindness Week and did a lot of preparing for those activities. And some of the outreach, our music classes and our instrumentalists have gone out and played in different places, nursing homes and in the community. We have the art things coming up. I know that the student council talked about bingo at the senior center. In our school writing grade level events, just to get people in the school, whether it be the book fair or the hoot, the ice cream social, any of the PTA and all the grade level evening events, really just to bring people into the school. And what we want to look at is how can we expand that? How can we get out more? How can we bring people in more? And how can we include some more diversity activities? So that's some of our next steps that we'll be working on.
Actually, why don't you mention that?
The art. So commercial announcement, public service announcement, our art exposition on Sunday, across from the Schubert Theater. We have a beautiful space. Ms. Wagner and Ms. Atchison will be setting up. It is from 12 to 5 for student artwork. It's this Sunday, 21st. So beautiful display. If you haven't gone down over the last 2 years, it is amazing, and the students are just so proud. It's so if you have an opportunity from 12 to 5, anytime, right across from the Schubert Theater. Okay.
So again, and that next step there is, there's a lot behind that next step, which is to expand the stakeholder participation in community and diversity planning and activities. Some of you have shared information with me that there's some great ideas that we want to take a look at here in town, and how do we go beyond the boundaries of our town as well. So we want to want to do everything. So feel free, and please, I encourage you to be part of that if you yourselves are interested in that and move forward. So last goal is about maximizing efficiencies of our systems. We talked in this one about SRBI, special education, our models, and how do we maximize efficiencies with a static amount of dollars and support that we have in our budget as we move forward. We also want to look at, in the future, another committee that's going to be up and going is a building aesthetics committee, which is a committee that we made up again of parents, inviting parents to this, board members, staff members, and community members, people who can help us to bring an idea of how we can make more of a student-centered focus in our building aesthetically in a variety of ways. So I'm excited about that as well. And we have ongoing processes in terms of just defining roles and responsibilities as I get to know the organization as time goes on. I would like to have Lisa just talk a little bit about our SRBI work, which we have done recently, and just got to start on that.
So for those of you that don't know, SRBI stands for Scientifically Research-Based Intervention. It is a multi-tiered approach to support students across academic areas. And here at Beecher, that has been an evolving process. There's been a group of very, very passionate and dedicated educators that have worked hard to develop and implement the process here at Beecher. And that team right now that meets regularly is comprised of curriculum folks in math and language arts. And then classroom teachers come and attend those meetings, and they have an opportunity to look at student data and student work and set some goals and some plans for students who are struggling across academic areas. So this is one of our goals moving forward, and so far what we've done is we created a visiting team, and that team has been comprised of classroom teachers, some of our curriculum folks, special education teachers, because there is some overlap with the work that's done between the groups, of course, and some administration representation. And that team actually went and did an initial visit, and before they actually did the initial visit, they read some articles, they did some document reviews of how SRBI works in this district that we visited, and we did a site visit, and we got to observe their SRBI process in action, which was really valuable. We came back with a lot of great ideas already. Moving forward, we would like to visit an additional site and see another SRBI team in action. And then we were also looking to sort of review some model SRBI documents. And we actually have received some. We reached out to ACES and got the names of some of the school districts that have been working on this, and we have some information already that we're planning on reviewing. And then moving forward, we're going to take everything that we learn and look at our current process and our current schedule and make some changes and some revisions, and think a little bit about the scheduling of how this will work out, and move forward to implementation.
So a lot of through lines in these slides and in the work we're doing. So at the centerpiece of this is the professional learning community model, which is the structure for collaboration with teacher teams and how they do business and how they share resources and how they work together for the benefit of students. Within the professional learning community model is the hardest of all that is the curriculum. What are we teaching? What is the guaranteed viable curriculum that we want to make sure all students receive, no matter which classroom they're in grade level? And so that curriculum work that you saw a slide about is working towards that. Part of the PLC model also is how do we help the students who may be struggling? Well, that's what all about this SRBI model that Lisa just spoke about. How do we help our struggling learners? And then on the other flip side, how do we help our students who may already know the content before we've taught it? And that goes back to that school-wide enrichment and intercurriculum compacting and other facets and aspects of that. So there's definitely through lines through many parts of what we're doing here. Just as a quick conclusion before your questions would be that as we look ahead, the administrative team really needs to step back and take a look and kind of take note of all the things we've done thus far in this short amount of time, see what else we're going to accomplish in the few weeks that we have left, and then really take stock of all that and determine, okay, so what are going to be our new school goals moving forward, and what are our district goals moving forward? If we can separate school and district, what will those goals be to address and support what we're doing in this plan? Goals that are few enough and manageable enough that we can be successful at them. And It's my goal to give you as a board periodic updates during the course of the year next year, maybe similar to tonight, or maybe highlighting one area more than another. And on an annual basis, we want to review this and revise this plan as we move forward, so we can, take stock of, again, what have we accomplished, what things we might be checking off the list or adding to the list, or tweaking a little bit as we move forward. So thank you for your undivided attention to this, and we'll certainly take any questions you may have on any of this.
Andrew?
I don't have to are doing anything.
Thanks, Bob, for that update. And so much progress has been made, so I'm really grateful for the development of and the specific priorities, and then the targets especially are really helpful and give us good insight. Goal 2 through 5 make a lot of sense, and a lot of the priorities are very clear as you share them. The one I sort of paused on was Goal 1. Goal 1, I love the language around it. Successful collaborators, critical and creative thinkers, contributing citizens, lifelong learners, and those are things that are really at the pinnacle, I think, of what a lot of new literature out there is talking about. Pew Research Center just came out with a report. I think the Times talked about it about 2 weeks ago. Surveyed a bunch of educators, 1,500 educators, really thought about what are the next 10 years going to look like, and what should we be doing for our young people to prepare them for a very different world. The two phrases that were not necessarily in our list, but also we might want to consider, are emotional intelligence and adaptability. So those, I think, with the addition of those two, I think are really, really thoughtful. My only thought is, as we think about the curriculum, is we're looking at it in it seems like similar language. Develop the curriculum, look at math, look at science, consider social studies. I wonder if we should add a bullet, which is kind of like exploring what's out there, which is sort of like Curriculum X Plus or something like that, which is looking at the research that Pew is doing, looking at what's happening in Silicon Valley, looking at how really innovative educators are thinking, not that we're not innovative, but looking beyond our town and our own experiences at what's really, I think we really are. It seems like a lot of the literature that people are reading out there, we're really at the cusp of things super changing. And I feel like all the words that we're using are amazing, and these goals are outstanding. But maybe in the accomplishments today, the next steps, we want to factor in this X plus thing that is a little bit more explorative, a little bit more pushing the boundaries, and maybe we as a board can be helpful in doing that. Maybe another committee really trying to explore some of that, because that's a lot of work. But I think you just see it percolating quite a bit to the surface, and I think we have the ability in this town to be at the foremost, to be the model for the nation.
And that what you're talking about there is really talking about vision, and that whole idea of being a model, because we're the kind of town and the kind of school that has that capability to be a model that other people say, hey, we'd like to be like Woodbridge Road School. So I think those are great thoughts. And one thing when you were saying that, one conversation that Gina and I had this week was with Karen, our science coordinator. And so we've been grappling with the whole idea. You know where I'm going with this, right? Maybe. We've been grappling with the mundane work of curriculum, and okay, what's the template going to look like that you're going to build the curriculum around? And we've really come to the conclusion that the template or the structure for how we organize what we want teachers to think about teaching needs to fit the content area that they're working in. And so we're moving in a direction of using what's called the storyline. The NGSS storyline curriculum for science. So we're not. One option was, okay, let's use the math one, and we'll just fit science into the math one. But what we're looking at is one that was developed about science for inquiry, for discovery, and developmentally appropriate for our kids at an elementary level. So that may not be exactly with the X plus, but the idea there is we're trying to go outside of the traditional on that, and I'd like to explore a little about what you're talking about too. I think that would be helpful for me. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So the only thing I would say is when you're giving us updates and things and you're looking at the plan,
and we're implementing, say, in grade 3 or in one class of grade 3, the student enrichment or whatever, that we kind of get an idea, you know, what's our evaluation plan to say, this is a good method, you know, the way we're implementing it is really working, and then how are we rolling it out to a wider group? Because I think sometimes we have great, you know, processes, and then rolling it out across the school, you know, takes a lot more effort. It's not new and exciting, you know, so I just think if we have timelines and implementation plans, that's helpful for me to see in terms of, you know, how are we looking to roll this out. Or, you know, when we evaluate and say, you know what, that really wasn't working the way we thought it was, you know, now we're going to look at this and then try it and roll it out. But just keeping us current on what's working, what's not working, you know, and how you're evaluating that process as well, because there's a lot of things, you know, that are going on. So how are you determining this is really effective and exciting, and we're, you know, and we want to get it to everybody we can.
And every intention we have is to have timelines and sort of, what will be the process year 1, year 2, year 3, as we further define what the work we've initially gotten done, absolutely. So yes to all that, and then those are good things for a checkpoint. I would also like to say that we're trying to be very thoughtful about the idea that we want to have certain entry points for certain initiatives that we have here. So for instance, the project-based learning is we're just talking to the 5th grade teachers. We're not trying to say to everybody, in September, every single grade level will do something in this, as well as every single grade level will do something in a school-wide enrichment model for clusters, where we're trying to, with that one, we're trying to maybe look at 3rd grade or one of the bordering grades. And so we're really trying to be thoughtful about starting small and successful, and then using that idea of establishing a timeline to have that expand out. So there's a patience factor there too, because, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and you'd like it to be built in a day, but if you don't do it gradual and successful, then all the cards fall. So thank you for that. We'll keep that in mind. Other questions?
Does anybody have anything else? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. So we need to go ahead and accept the building upgrade. Do we have any more discussion on that topic, or we should make the motion? Well, somebody can make the motion.
Move that we accept the DRS building upgrade project as complete as recommended by the DRS Town Building Committee based on their final review of project 167-0025A/RR/EC and in accordance with the charge authorized by the Woodbridge Board of Selectmen on November 6, 2011.
So is there any more discussion that people or questions people have about the upgrade?
Do you want to talk a little bit? Okay. Would you mind?
Nope. All right, so the building committee formed in November of 2011, is that correct? And the upgrade itself was actively being done from the summer of 2014 to January 2017. The town passed a referendum, was that December 13?
Yeah, it's been passed the first time.
Yes, it did. Broke records. $13,345,000 was the amount that was approved in the referendum. The project came in under that budget by $34,000. $2.5 million was reimbursed by the state, and another $300,000 to $400,000 was received in energy rebates, so that the total cost to the town was $10.3 million. Will be the debt service going forward. The upgrade included many areas. I'll just sort of give some broad categories. There were energy upgrades that resulted in us going from the bottom 23% to the top 5%. air conditioning, which is probably the one that people maybe notice the most. Lots of improvements to the air quality, the building canopy, lots of security upgrades, lighting, automated system. There was minimal disruption to the students and learning. And I think that about covers it. Anybody have any questions?
Okay, any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Very well. Right. So, facilities.
So we just met at 6 o'clock, and that was the largest part of our agenda, but we also talked about Tools for Schools, and I just want to commend Al Kulo and Greg Kula and the rest of the Tools for Schools team. There was an inspection done by Quinnipiac Valley Park District, and the words exemplary and exceptional were used to describe the program that Al has shepherded and has been so widely successful. And as I said in our facilities meeting, as a parent, it's so meaningful to know that so many very qualified people are taking time and putting thought into making sure that our kids are in an environment that's conducive to learning. And I think very few schools have what we have, which is this very dedicated and exceptional team making sure our kids are in a healthy environment. So thank you. We had a building and grounds update, and it sounds, that our upgrade is done, but the work continues in terms of maintaining the building, and Bob is leading the charge in terms of thinking about ways to continue to aesthetically improve the inside of the building and keep maintaining and working on the grounds as well. So thank you.
I have some additional information regarding the teacher. Is that okay to share that at this time?
Of course.
Because it's, I think that was going to come under facilities, I believe, just in terms of our report. So we did get a. Do you want to just talk about that, or want me to?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So we had a request made by the WEA to place a sundial in memory of one of our former teachers who passed away, Joan, and I'm Benevento. Okay. There was funds that were raised. That there's plenty of money to take care of this. There's a lot of passion behind it, and the request was to again put a sundial with a small plaque in that courtyard between the 3rd grade and the kindergarten in memory of her. And for those who were inquiring, they certainly know that the Board of Ed needed to know about this and approve, whether formally or informally, this. Just in terms of our policy on this, there is a policy regarding naming of facilities. It's very specific that a committee needs to be established when we're naming the school building, when we're naming a portion of the building, or if we're naming an area of the school grounds. And that's what the policy says. It doesn't say if we're going to. It doesn't say we have to have a committee to actually form to put something in place on the school grounds. It says if you're going. I think if you're going to call that the X, Y, and Z Memorial Courtyard, I think that's when you have to have a committee. But since we're just placing something in there, I don't believe a committee is necessary based upon the policy. So I just would bring that as a clarification from our meeting earlier. And
So I could be wrong, but I remember when I first came on the board, there was a very large discussion about a bench. And the bench donated in someone's name was
in there, or the benches. I don't remember
which bench it was. Was it the Kaczynskis loop?
I don't think it was the loop, because those were.
not the
Or was it a chair?
It was a chair. It was Bunny
Chairs in
yesterday.
that room.
And it was for Bunny yesterday.
But it brought up a very large discussion. And my understanding, and I might not even have been on the board, I might have been sitting as a newly elected person who's watching the meeting, but I thought that there was a large discussion saying that we should go through a similar process because it could get to a point where people start donating things and we suddenly have a large amount of things around the school in names of various people from various provide that was for someone who retired or?
Bunny had just retired, but she passed away in that same time frame, and that's what they were.
Am I remembering this properly?
It's correct. It's 2009-10 is the time frame that you could be looking at.
So I just think I think that at least when we had this discussion in the past, it was that this was just a chair and everyone thought no big deal, but once the word got out that a chair was donated without much fanfare, that we would suddenly be inundated with another chair, another item, and before we knew it, we would have things with plaques all over the school, and where do we draw the line and who do we draw it for? So I'm not saying yay or nay on this thing, but I think that if we have a process in place for naming things, I think that we should allow that process to take place for any of these things. That's just my personal opinion.
So I don't have the history, but you provide a little history, and that's good. If we have a committee, Steve, we're going to make you the chair of that committee. I think that's one of the reasons why I brought this to the facilities subcommittee, is I felt that we should at least start with some kind of a process of at least how does this fit into what's been done in the past, and where do we want to go with that. So I'm open to whatever the board wants to do. I just wanted to kind of draw the attention to the words of the policy and the fact that this heartfelt gesture has been communicated and supported in wherever we can with the board's discussion or process.
So the other thing that I do think is true, though, is given the concern that there might be, a number of these kinds of requests since 2009, I think we haven't really had many requests. So I don't...
Because we put a process in place.
I don't know that it was because of that.
I'm just saying,
yeah, but
you
I'm
can't say
saying...
it's not because of that.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, nobody even made a request to go into the process. So it's not like there's this runaway, we want to name the tables and the chairs and the, and I'm being a little facetious. If the board thinks we need to create a committee to approve this and to review it, then that's fine. We'll do it quickly and we'll do it, I don't know that there's, we'll make sure that the appropriate parties are involved. I don't think that we need to go through that process for this request, personally.
If it helps you, most of the requests that have come forward at that time were for planting of trees or planting of flowers, not necessarily something along this line, if that makes any difference.
Okay. So I guess we need to have I don't know, we don't need really a motion, we just need an idea. We can just go around. People feel like we should do a committee or not. Nancy?
I think we should form a committee to create a uniformed, not necessarily on this decision, but to create a uniform process for others who are not taking buildings. Because maybe it should be all trees, but it could get,
Okay, and we do form committees when these things come up. Like there was a committee when we named this area of the school, the Stella.
Right.
I think the committee should address not necessarily this one only, but also future requests. So you think we should have a group for this one?
And the committee should also be tasked with creating process for future non-facility types of requests.
Okay, right? Hear it?
No, I don't think we need a committee for this request.
I think a very quick meeting by the committee would allow us to move forward without any question from the greater community about the policy that currently is in place.
I agree with Nancy that a committee that will address this particular situation and provide a little bit more clarity going forward would be appropriate.
why we can't all serve as a committee in this regard, so that if there were...
Because the committee requirement in the policy is not the board. It is greater than the board. It includes parents, it includes staff, it includes somebody from the administration. It is not the board. So we can't, like, just tonight be the committee and say yes. We can't do it. If we're following the policy, which you don't have to follow for strategic.
The committee needs to be comprised of superintendent and or designee. Okay, I'm going to designate someone, no. And myself, a principal, faculty member, or members, parent, PTO member, community member, Board of Ed member, and if appropriate, students. So it's, there's a number of...
But we've got all of those people have to, somebody from all of those designated subgroups have to be part of it.
Right, but for example, like even for naming the library, it was like literally like, one meeting. It's not an extended, process. So, so I guess if we think, it seems like the majority of people think we need to have a group. So, Bob, you or your designee needs to get those people together.
I want to make sure I'm clear on this. So, in bringing the people together, I've heard a process, a quick meeting. I've heard a couple different things. So, are we looking to, for clarification, just look at this and, in the context of what's been done in the past, decide yay or nay on this as a committee? Is it just that, or is it that plus looking at a process for future and clarifying more of a process?
I think the policy outlines the process. It says who's on the committee. If we need more clarification on what the committee does, do they recommend back to the board? Do they just say yay or nay? That's fine. We can have that same group review that and see if we need more clarification. To me, the policy seems clear in, when it needs to happen, although we're saying we're expanding that a little bit. We're going to, play it on the safe side and do it when it's not explicitly required. But does anybody feel like that process is not clear?
My only comment would be I would ask policy to look at that policy at their next meeting or one in the near future to just clarify about whether or not we hold this process for anything. Just so that
then we just need this group for just this.
Just this.
So it'll be two parts. It'll be this group will meet about this particular request and make a decision within the context of the policy, and then at the next available policy meeting to put this policy under review for the board members who are part of that group.
And the committee form makes the decision. We don't have to come back to the board, right?
Sure we do. It comes back at the next board meeting.
Yeah, the next board meeting, there is a vote.
Absolutely.
Based on the recommendation of the committee. That's how I interpret it.
I'm not even sure we could approve it tonight because it's not on the agenda.
You could vote at a regular meeting, so we could vote to add it if you want.
Okay. Right. Right. I think
vote
they make a
to create the committee or vote
to approve.
Oh, because we can't do that. Well, I guess we've got a PTO member, we've got a community member, we technically could.
No, if we weren't going to form a committee, we could add it to the agenda.
Okay. So what was the time frame that the staff was requesting? Because we just need to, make sure we're not...
In terms of, they wanted to have it done by June 15th, or that kind of thing, you mean?
Right. If we vote on it at the next meeting, that's sufficient for their planning.
I'm not sure if any faculty members here are familiar with this request, but I don't think there was any... I think we're okay. It's...
Okay, so we'll get a group together and they'll make a recommendation for the next meeting. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So, finance.
All right. We got a few budgetary items. I'll start with the first one and make a motion that we approve the 2017-18 summer regular budget as presented by the administration.
Second. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Second one is move that we approve the 17-18 extended day budget as presented by the administration.
Second.
Any questions?
All those in favor? Okay.
And finally, move that we approve the 2017-18 cafeteria budget as presented by the administration.
Second.
Comments or questions?
All those in favor? Thank you. Okay. Anything else from finance?
liaison?
Obviously, there's a lot going on in Hartford. Not a lot of answers. But you can attend the June 13th CAPE legislative roundup and find out where we stand on June 13th, 8:30 up in Hartford.
And we'll know things by then.
We'll know things.
Okay. If you say so. Okay. Upcoming meetings, we talked about Tri-State last time. It just is coming up at our next meeting instead of tonight. Did anybody have any additional requests for that? Okay. And then the wellness tools for schools, we have these reports if you want to look at last year's to see what the presentation information includes. Did anybody have any initial requests for additional information or information that's not usually included in the presentation? Okay, great. And then new business.
Move that we approve the 2017-18 IDEA grant as presented for submission to the Connecticut State Department of Education.
Second.
Claire, is there anything you want to just add in about this? Just a couple summary statements?
We're starting off with the same amount of money as we were last year. That's the bottom line. And, we're using it to support the school goals and through staffing, through construction, direct construction, through instructional materials, and through our continued collaboration with First 3 townwide preschools and with parents.
Does anybody have any questions?
So we get the full funding for this year?
Well, we're getting the same, so far, getting the same amount. They tell us to write the grant based on our last total amount. We don't really know till like this past year, August, we got the final total.
We did get a reduction in the current years, not what you're approving.
No. In 16,
the current
17.
years, there was a reduction of 5%.
5%. So just out of curiosity, because I know that this grant directly funds things, so if we get a 5% cut, does that mean that our budget a 5% reduction, or did we cut expenses to match the 5% reduction?
It means that we look to, the grant is a 2-year term.
Yeah.
So we don't expend it entirely in year 1. So in the current year's case, we look to the prior year remaining carryover to fund what had been reduced. But fast forward that, we continue with the reductions. At some point, the well's going to go dry, and then it will hit the operating budget.
So it will go to operating, it won't be a reduction in expenses to match the idea.
If there's another reduction in kin to the current year, we should be able to fund it still out of the grant budget, just not the current year grant, the prior year carryover.
Any other questions?
I just want to clarify a little bit. I want to make sure I get this right. I'm just having a hard time. So we're planning expenses in special ed, this is special ed services related to a grant that the state is giving us. We have set the budget as the feds have given us. We set our budget based on the needs of our school, not special ed, but some of it is inclusive of special ed. We took a sizable reduction and had to reduce staffing. I just want to make sure that if we're getting a grant and we are spending against this grant, to me, we should be finding expense reductions in this grant to offset the 5% rather than tag into our regular operating budget. Is that not the appropriate way of thinking?
But we're not currently hitting our regular
So going forward, this isn't anything.
No, nothing
true
this year.
now.
I'm just saying moving forward.
So if instead of $1,000, we were getting $500, would we change what we're doing to only expense out $500 as we plan forward? Yes, okay. So we would reduce our expenses to match the expectation of the grant rather than expect the operating budget to fund $500 towards the same activities. That's what Claire's saying.
Yeah, well, we would look at things like professional development, things like that.
That are in the grant expense.
Okay.
So certain areas would be easy to do that with, and other
Some
ones
areas
may
we
not
could not,
because of
but
the fact
there are
that
some
it's
areas.
staffing, and that's staffing required by IEPs. That but there are clearly some line items that yes, that we could do that with. And as Al's saying, if we haven't expended everything from the current year, there may be some carryover to next year where we had that 5% reduction where we can put it towards that, but, yeah, you're right, that eventually
And
catches
if I
up to
could
it.
just clarify, that's the intent of the grant. It is intended to span 2 years with roughly 85% of it to be used in the first year with an intended carryover. So we're just following the
Thank you.
standard
I needed
formula.
that. Yeah. That was one of them.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Alrighty, public comment? I don't think anybody new showed up. Nothing here. Oh, okay, yeah, all right, one other thing. We need to schedule a special meeting to do the superintendent evaluation. June 12th is a Monday, which sometimes is good for people. We have a finance meeting that night that we can try maybe to move up so that we can do finance prior to the evaluation meeting. If we try to do it after a regular meeting, you know, like tonight, like in June, it's not fair because everybody's ready to go and it's just not fair to Bob. So we really do need to do a special meeting for it. If the 12th is no good, we can look, Steve already said he can't make the 12th. So I don't know if there's another date in there.
What if we get to some dates to you folks, how would that be? Unless you have some things you want to suggest.
Yeah, why don't we do that? I don't mind doing it after the Board of Ed meeting, the